Hi there everyone, Lars here from Camille's Harem. Not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers. Because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends, and in this video I want to return to the dangers in my heart. This most recent episode, episode 8, was a really interesting one, because it was an episode that was all about Yamada, but told in a really unique way. Told from the perspective of Ichikawa, who is not piecing things together. He's not connecting the dots as he should, and not just simply to realize, oh, this girl likes me, but there's a lot of things about Yamada that are revealed within this episode that he just, once again, he's not picking up on for a variety of personal reasons. But for us as the audience, there's a whole lot to be learned and a whole lot to be revealed about this character. She's not just the funny, snack-loving dunce that you might have come to believe that she is. Like I said in one of my earlier reviews at the beginning of the series, there's a lot to this girl. She is a complex character, and here in this episode, we get to see more of that. So the episode opens up with a really great moment. Chi is out sick, and so Yamada doesn't have her girlfriend, who she loves to hang out with and get all cuddly and just do all of her normal teasing. As a result of Chi not being there, one of her other girlfriends now has to fill in the role. And what is great about this right here, about this scene, is that while Moe's like, you know what, fine then, I'm going to get a little bit feely and I'm going to tease Yamada snaps back. She's like, no, that's not okay. That's not how this goes. And their friend's like, okay, how is this supposed to work out? And so they have a straight up conversation and a diagram about where are the places that you can't touch Yamada. And they're like, wow, you're like a cat, a very particular cat, because that's the way cats are. Cats might let you pet them, but there's certain places that a cat won't let you touch. And this scene is great, not just because, well, Ichikawa's like, oh, maybe I should commit this knowledge to memory about places I can and can't touch for future references. Wink, wink. But this is a great moment to again show the depth of character for Yamada. That this isn't just some weird touchy-feely thing like so many other stories like to play it up as, especially what we get from Japan, where it's like, oh, here are the girls will feel each other up, you're growing big. That's so annoying, that's so dumb. Most girls don't act that way. However, a lot of girls do act the way that we see in this particular scene. They tease each other, they talk with each other, they find out what buttons they can and can't press, they figure out each other's boundaries, and then within those various boundaries, they continue to tease each other and have fun. That's just the way that most teenage girls operate. And there's nothing weird about this. There's no secretly implied feelings, as so many people, especially here in the West, are like, oh, Yuri, I can see it right now. That's not what's happening here. These are girlfriends acting like girlfriends, being silly. That is what teenage girls do. And so this scene right here doesn't just simply tell us these are the places you can and can't touch on Yamada. This tells us that Yamada is your typical teenage girl, despite the fact that she is a model and actress. This is then solidified by the conversation that Yamada has with Chi and with Ichikawa regarding her grades. She needs to study more. She's not some grand genius, and she makes mistakes. And yet she is someone who owns up to those mistakes. And she's not going to let them drag her down, beat her down, something that would, again, really happen a whole lot within Japanese culture. Oh, you made a mistake, you're a dunce, you're a nail that's sticking up, it's time to take the hammer and whack you on down a bit. Yamada is someone's like, I made a mistake. Life is just going to continue moving on. Very easygoing, very much going against the grain of society, which, I mean, we've seen her do a whole lot, especially in how she tries to show her feelings for Ichikawa. But it's not just simply oh, I have a crush, I'm going to go against the cultural norms. That's just who Yamada is. She's someone who goes against the cultural norms, which is funny. It's a fun bit of contrast to Ichikawa, who is someone who actually holds very much true to the societal norms of Japan, and yet because of his angsty persona that he tries to live and has internalized, he thinks that he's going against the grain, but in reality, it is Yamada, the girl that he likes, who is actually living the way that he thinks he's living. It's a fun bit of contrast and goes to, again, highlight just how unique of an individual Yamada really is. And then we have the parent-teacher conference. This is a fun little bit right here because we get, again, a really interesting comparison and contrast going on right here as Ichikawa spies Aizen is like, oh, my mom's there. Oh, no! And Anna Yamada is there with her mom. Oh, I now see where she gets it from. But the funny thing here is this, is that while Yamada looks a lot like her mother, when you put them right next to each other, you can tell Yamada's actually taller. She may be filled out like her mom, but she is taller. There's some other familial genes playing on right here, and this is a little bit of a wink to some of the people that we will meet later on in the story. If you've read the manga, you know who's coming down the pipeline eventually, and this helps to show a little bit more of who Yamada is. Now then, as a character who really goes against the grain and is fluffy and funny, when she's right next to her mom, who's very serious and you must act this way, Yamada has a really hard time living up to those expectations. It again just exemplifies how very different she is. And while she tries then to fit in with the regular Japanese mold, part of the thing is this, is that her own physicality causes her to stick out entirely, and probably the only reason why the hammer hasn't come down to try to nail her in place as far as Japanese society goes is because she has that armor of being a model, of being an actress. Oh, she's popular. Oh, she's something else. And so therefore people will not attack her for being so different. This makes Yamada a bit of an outsider. Ichikawa is an outsider, but when we pay attention to what's going on here with Yamada, she herself is an outsider. Weird as that is, because she's got her girlfriends, she's got popularity, people like her, but she feels like an outsider, especially when you put her right next to her mom, who exemplifies just this honor and beauty of society. Yamada doesn't fit that mold at all. And we also then get to see that she is paying attention. Yamada is a girl who you might think, oh, duncy girl, oh, who's just tripping her way through life. No, she's paying attention. Even there in the moment, right next to Ichikawa's mom, she's picking up cues and clues about who Ichikawa's mom is, about the snacks, figuring out how she might be able to connect with Ichikawa's family. Yamada's a girl with a plan. She has her eye on the ball. She knows what she's doing. And the way that she teases Ichikawa afterwards is just, it's fantastic right here, because it just fits so well, because this isn't that she puts up a facade. She's not pretending to be someone that she isn't. She is a fluffy dunce from time to time, but she's also an intelligent girl. She is a girl who is driven, who is motivated, who pays attention, but because she's also a fluffy dunce from time to time, she will make silly, horrifying mistakes. People can be contradictory, and that's one of the things I love about The Dangers in My Heart, is how the characters have multiple facets to them. They're not just stereotypes, and you specifically get that here in this episode, again, with Yamada. This is her episode. And then we get the whole fever dream, boy gets sick, cute girl comes to take care of him scenario. This is just an absolute classic trope of Japanese rom-coms. This is like the beach episodes. They are required in these kinds of stories. They must happen. And so this trope is being used. However, I like how the trope is used here because of what we get at the very end of the episode. And I mean at the very end. You gotta watch beyond the end credits to get this part right here, because Yamada shows up to Ichikawa's house after Ichikawa gets sick, driving about in the rain, bringing back her groceries to her. And when he's sick and he's tripping out with his fever dream, it's when she happens to show up. So we get the awkwardness, we get him going into the Valley of Pillows. We get all of that stuff going on right here. But the important thing actually here is not that she showed up. It's not that he got to go into the Valley of Pillows. No, that's actually not what's important here. What's important here is that she brought the Bavarian cream, Bavarian strawberry cream. She says that she had gotten it from his lunch and was bringing it on over to him because it's just so tasty and he's got to have it. But then she reveals to us that she's like, oh, you must have been sick, and I can hear it in your sore throat. That's probably why you didn't eat your Bavarian cream yesterday. And Yamada's like, shut up, shut up, shut up. But Ichikawa is so caught up in like, oh, she's got a hoarse voice. I guess she too can get sick. Yamada's just like the rest of us normal human beings, completely missing the point that this girl sacrificed some delicious Bavarian strawberry cream for him. The girl who is all about the snacks. For someone that she really cares about, she is willing to forego the snacks. Earlier, it was played up as a joke. I'm only eating a third of my snacks in the library, but here, in a moment where it really matters, she's willing to give up the snacks. That is a cool bit of information for Yamada. It shows again her drive, her maturity, and just how much he likes Ichikawa. But because Ichikawa is stuck in his own headspace and has completely misunderstood all these different moments throughout this episode, he is not picking up on the obvious clues. And I mean, really, who can blame him? Earlier on when she says, oh, Yamada's been talking about you a lot, and he's like, oh, she's probably saying stuff to make fun of me. I'm just going to say this. You can forgive Ichikawa for that moment right there. And any boy who's like, no, if a girl's talking about me, that must mean that she likes me. No, oh no. If you're a teenage boy and a bunch of teenage girls begin talking about you, chances are it is to make fun of you. It is because you've done something dumb. You only get a free pass if you're very popular or very attractive. Ichikawa is neither, and so in a high school setting, and I don't care where you are in the world, you as a boy are probably being made fun of if a bunch of girls are talking about you. That is just the reality. You may not want to believe me. Trust me, not only was I a teenage boy at one point, I was a teacher, and I paid attention to what my students were talking about. They didn't think that the teacher was going to pay any attention to all of their blabbings and gossip. Oh boy, again, if girls are talking about a guy, 90% of the time it is to make fun of them. So for Ichikawa to be like, oh, she must be making fun of me, it makes absolute sense for him to think about that because that is the norm. It's not a stereotype, it is the norm. And the important thing there is this, is because that is the norm, and because we know that Yamada isn't making fun of him, it is yet again another context clue that tells us just how much she likes him. So as you can see, this is why I said this episode is really all about Yamada. This is about Ichikawa not understanding what is going on, but for us as the audience, if we're paying attention, all of these clues are coming to us to tell us just how unique of an individual she is, how complex she is, and where she stands in her life. And things begin to make a little bit more sense about maybe why she likes Ichikawa. Not just because he was there to throw in the bike to distract the senpai from hitting on her in a very aggressive manner, not just because he's been there to help her out in various situations or to be silly or to be kind to her, but that she also recognizes a little bit of a kindred spirit within him. And that there are genuine reasons for her to like him. He has done a lot of good things that he didn't have to do. Things that contradict this negative, angsty persona that he has tried to internalize and make his actual identity. Again, this is why this series is called The Dangers in My Heart, because Ichikawa, who thinks he is one thing, ends up being another. And who he is and his feelings for Yamada rip away that persona to reveal a much better person underneath. And we can, in a way, also kind of turn that lens on over to Yamada, someone who is expected by her mother and by society to fit in. She has been graced by this opportunity through her good looks and talent to be someone whose status allows her to stand out in a society where you're not supposed to stand out, but really what she wants is she just wants to be loved, and she wants to be loved by the sweet little angsty boy, which is not okay by certain societal standards. So that is a danger for her, and it is one that she is willing to risk again and again and again, even if she's highly embarrassed and she doesn't want Chi to blurt that on out. There's again, complexity there. She wants Ichikawa to recognize her feelings, but she wants him to recognize them because of her and not because of someone else. So that's why I find this episode really, really fun and engaging, and I feel like this is something that when it comes to us being authors, this is something that we should try to implement more of. It's so tempting because it's so easy to tell us everything about a character by giving that character a point of view chapter, in which in that chapter we then say, well, this is what this character is like, this is their personality, this is what they look like, this is what they like to wear, this is what they like to eat, bam, 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 we list out all of these things, boom, in this one chapter, you've been overloaded with all the information you need to know about this character, and now throughout the rest of the story, I will show why that information was relevant. Instead, it is really interesting, very engaging, for us to learn about another character through another character's misunderstandings or interactions with them. The reason why this is interesting is because then you actually get 2 points of view. You get the point of view of the character within the story and the readers as well. This is really interesting because it acts as kind of a triangulation operation right here. You as the reader can see what's going on from a bird's eye view, but that doesn't necessarily give you all the information. You then need to see how the point of view character reacts and how the other character reacts, and this gives you then all this information to better hone in on what is actually happening here within the story. It's boring and lazy when an author just spells it all out for you. And here within this episode of The Dangers in My Heart, there's a whole lot that we are learning that is not being spelled out to us. It is something that we have to be paying attention to. So, those are my thoughts and observations based on this most recent episode of The Dangers in My Heart. Again, if you have not been watching this series and you just come across this video, please do yourself the favor, binge watch it. It is amazing. And if you're an author looking for more writing advice, please check out our other videos here. You can also head on over to our podcast, Camille's Harem. Links for all that and more are in the description below. And if you'd like to support us here in what we do, please check out the books that we've published. But otherwise, thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us on this adventure that we call writing. And until the next video, y'all, tschüss.